educators, please welcome Miss Linda Setiawan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for a wonderful introduction by Ibu Iren and also Mbak Ocha. It's always a pleasure and a privilege for me to conduct a professional development for teachers because it's an opportunity for me to really share some practices in the classroom. And I believe something that we all have in common is we want the best for our students' learning. And I'm always excited at thinking about how can we constantly improve our teaching practices. So it's indeed a privilege, a joyful privilege for me to share with you all this afternoon. So to begin this presentation, please allow me to share my screen with all of you. So I can begin my material. Okay, so our session today is about setting up an interactive distance learning for primary mathematics. And before we start, I was about to show you the screen, but in about a minute, we would like to start by hearing from you. Actually, that's one of the goals in this training this afternoon is I would love to hear your experiences of teaching and learning online so far. I think we're all kind of like in a similar boat, isn't it? Ibu Iren also mentioned in the introduction part earlier that all of us are adapting, actually have been adapted into this new situation of teaching and learning at a distance, how to keep this teaching and learning going in without sacrificing its quality. And at the same time, we're all adapting, right, to this new norm of teaching and learning. So I would love to hear your experience. And in a minute, what's going to happen is you may take a look at the chat section in the Zoom meeting. And then there will be a link there shared with you. And the link will bring you to a website. It's called Poll Everywhere. And in that website, you will be prompted to answer this question. What are your experiences with distance teaching and distance learning so far? Bapak Ibu, I will be speaking fully in English throughout the training, but if, for instance, in this type of question, if you feel much more comfortable to share in Indonesian language, there's no judgment at all, that's fine. You can use Indonesian or you can use English to respond to this question. So let me just wait ya Bapak Ibu kira-kira mungkin 2-3 menit ke depan supaya memberi kesempatan for all of you to be able to give the feedback.
Silakan Bapak Ibu, linknya sudah dibagikan ya di bagian chat box.
Thank you, Mbak Ocha.
Yes, you're welcome, Miss.
Once you have submitted your responses successfully, it will show up on our screen, so we will have some real-time feedback. In the meantime, as we are all waiting for each other's responses, jangan berpikir too hard, Bapak Ibu. This is just your experiences, so it's really a free response. You might feel this is great. You might feel, somewhat challenging. You may feel any kind of feelings, right? Like your experience is lagging at times because of unstable internet connection. Thank you. The first responses come in. Yep, I agree with you. I've experienced this as well. Sometimes it happened. We are relying largely on the internet connection these days. Thank you. So still waiting for more responses. I think hopefully some of these experiences you will find something in common. So it's not just you, right? Someone else has probably experienced the same thing. It's interesting. We can use so many apps to do the interactive learning with the students. There it is. Primary 1, yeah, the young children. Getting direct feedback from the students. Yep. It does take time to get the responses of the students. Sometimes parents and students both need a little bit more training need to be exposed more to the technology. So hopefully some of your questions or some of your responses here can be somewhat answered or answered fully through this session. I'm going to wait just a little bit more. So I think I see some balance between, yes, there are some low points, but some of you also highlighted some high points, which is great and encouraging, right? Yeah, explaining materials. I'm just going to wait maybe about 30 seconds more. Oh, very fun, actually. Yeah. Yeah, we do have limited time in Zoom classes. How to keep them engaged, yeah? Sometimes difficulty in managing the time. Okay. Thank you, Bapak Ibu, for your responses. Sorry if your responses didn't get to be shown for all of us because we are such a large group, but thank you for responding and sharing your experiences with us. So before we move on any further, I would like to just, before that, with that tool, by the way, with Poll Everywhere, it's actually a great tool also for student engagement. So if you're thinking of using something similar, you can just type Poll Everywhere in your internet browser and then try to get it set up. I do not know exactly if that will work for any grade level, but so far, later on, I will also show you an alternative how you can create a word cloud by using Poll Everywhere. So maybe that can be more useful for the younger grades. But it's just nice if you're thinking of doing a PowerPoint presentation like this, maybe every now and then to have those stopping moments where you can get some feedback from your students. So teachers, you are welcome to try that out and to explore that tool. I think one thing that I would like to encourage you before I begin even further is in one of my classes back in my university days, I took this class on digital technology and how it impacted your classroom teaching and learning. And one of the activities that I really enjoy thoroughly is just this section of the class called playground time. Now, Bapak Ibu semuanya ini guru SD ya, so I believe you all know what is a playground, right? Probably sometimes you probably even will supervise your students during playtime, right? During recess time. Now, playground, the nature of playground means you're playing, right? When you're playing, what do? You try this, you try the slides, you try the swing, you try playing with the sand and everything else that is provided in the playground. So there's really, there's the fun, there's the exploration, there's trying this and that. And what I really want to highlight is especially with the use of technology, I think thinking of, using or trying out technology as kind of like that playground where you can test out things maybe with the colleagues around you in a small group. It can probably be just something helpful for you as a team, and it can edify each of your skills. Jadi nggak terlalu takut untuk berbuat kesalahan ketika memang mencoba di dalam curriculum teams, for example, right? Because it's just a playground. And by just, I didn't mean it's not serious, but it's just, you're trying out different things because there's no other way of getting yourself more familiar with digital technology in teaching unless you actually give it a try. So saya mau encourage Bapak Ibu, don't be afraid, think about it as like a playground. Now, to begin with, I would like to just share a couple of experiences relevant to online teaching and learning. So how do I experience online teaching and learning? When I undertook my graduate studies, as a student, I had to take several online courses. So that's my first experience actually with distance learning. And then in my own personal teaching, the past 3 months, we're all jumping into this online teaching. And that's what I did as well. I did the teaching for secondary students ranging from year 9 through 11. And for the past month or so, I've also been involved in Mentari Tutoring Online program, so teaching grade 4 students. So there will be plenty of examples relevant directly to grade 4 mathematics material today. And also, obviously, leading online PD sessions, including today. I just want to share, these are typically how we set up for an online teaching, online class. Obviously, we need laptop. And then here, the other picture here at the bottom right corner is just me teaching fractions with all the manipulatives under the second camera. And then here's my laptop again. So that's the typical setting that I did. Okay, the next thing here is I have a picture for you. Would anyone like to guess what picture is this?
Silakan Bapak Ibu bisa resen atau mungkin tulis di chat box ya, Miss Linda.
Yeah, sure. And then Mbak Ocha can help me if there is someone who answered, ya.
Yes.
Ada yang mau menebak? This is a picture of what?
Oh, there's someone answering, Miss.
Yeah, sure.
Solar eclipse.
Oh, eclipse. Indeed, that is correct. This is a picture of eclipse, Bapak Ibu. So, not long ago, sepertinya ini masih ada yang mau mencoba jawab. Boleh dilihat lagi?
Yes, di chat box.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a picture of an eclipse, ya, Bapak Ibu. Dalam bahasa Indonesia, gerhana. And when there's eclipse, typically, as you can see, it's relatively dark. So before we even familiarize ourselves more with the tools that we're about to use, I think in general, how we feel towards the teaching and learning at a distance during pandemic is it's somewhat like walking in the darkness in a way, right? It's not fully clear. It's not fully sure and certain for us. Maybe for many of you, you probably have taught for 10 years, for 20 years, for 15 years, you name it, right? And you know how things should work in the classroom. But now we are all kind of like forced into this situation that we never really foresee before, right? And then suddenly we have to walk through this uncharted path of teaching online. So in a way, it's kind of like dark and uncertain. And I certainly felt that way too when I first had to begin teaching online. However, I was also encouraged by this. I do not know how many of you recognize this Mandarin character, but basically this is the Mandarin character for crisis. And what I found interesting is that in the word crisis in Mandarin, it consists of two words. One is danger, and the other one is opportunity. So kind of like what you were responding earlier towards my question, how's your experiences with teaching and learning online so far? Yes, there are some, let's say, negative things, some risks involved, right? Like what if I want to try this tool and suddenly it's lagging or it doesn't work the way I had planned it to be. So those are the kind of danger that we expose ourselves daily into, right? But then there's also opportunity. So it's promising, right? It's hopeful. So there's also opportunity for you to improve your own skills in digital technology, in teaching and learning with different approaches. So I hope while we recognize the risks of teaching and learning online, I hope we are also able to see the bright side, which is the plentiful opportunities for you to keep improving yourselves. Okay. So our objective today, we would like to outline some preparations for primary mathematics distance learning, to engage with different parts of primary maths lesson in a virtual setting, and also to share some common experiences with distance learning, as well as helpful tips for future setup of distance learning. I would like to divide our session into three major parts. Firstly is the preparation, so the pre-teaching. This is probably going to be a little bit brief. And then there will be a lot of teaching demonstration, because I think a number of you were also expressing how can we, move from face-to-face meeting into online meeting and still have meaningful math teaching taking place. So I will divide that into hook activity, content delivery, checking for understanding, and guided practice or independent practice. Lastly, this is also going to be a brief one. So really the nugget of our session will be the teaching demo in the middle. Miscellaneous tips and tricks for distance learning is going to be the N. So preparation, I'm sure many of you are quite familiar with some of these steps. Nevertheless, this is serve as a friendly reminder for all of us. So what do we actually do when we prepare ourselves to teaching online? The first one is always setting rules and expectation for your class. I just provided a couple of different rules and expectation for your class. You might have had these rules already, or you might have had something a little bit different for your class. The key here is we would like to just implement any kind of expectation consistently throughout class meetings so that the students know exactly what they are expecting when they are attending our class. And then the next one is to determine the objective or the goal of the lesson. I'd like to just share 3 keywords with you. Clear, specific, and achievable. Those are the 3 characteristics of the objective or goal of the lesson that I hope that I guess we certainly hope would be true of our lesson. Here I provide an exemplar of what I've done. This is for grade 4 mathematics, to articulate the idea of number pattern, to determine the rule of the number pattern, and to find a missing number in a number pattern using the correct rule. And here's a picture of it. Of course, objective help us to hit the target, right? We want our lessons to be on target, even though of course we have to also be quite flexible. Some of you also mentioned that, you know, sometimes you have already formulated certain objectives, but because of the nature of the lesson, or sometimes there are other things that you did not anticipate before, such as the cutoff of internet connection, you have to kind of like being flexible in carrying out whichever objective is not yet covered in this lesson to the next one. Next thing, we decide the flow of the lesson and activities to do. Typically for a class of 60 minutes for year 4, primary 4, typically what I do for myself is I will have 15-minute windows. So every 15 minutes, I'm going to be thinking about a change of activity, a change of the nature of the discussion. Like if it is a whole class, if I started off with a whole class discussion, maybe I would like to have a small group this time, using breakout room, for example. Or if I started off with breakout room, maybe the next thing is I would actually do whole class discussion. And then I can do quiz after that. And then I can do my own presentation after that. So just think about chunking your lesson into maybe 15-minute window, maybe less than that, especially for the younger students, so that they can remain engaged. And I know this is a challenging, this is especially challenging the younger the children are. And hopefully, that's why hopefully with the variety of activities that we are doing after a certain period of time, hopefully that can keep your students engaged. Sometimes it also factor in that it takes longer time sometimes to complete a task. For example, sometimes you might want your students to respond to a question and you create a Google Doc for them. What generally, if you create a worksheet in a class, yeah, Bapak Ibu, maybe you think, okay, you distribute the worksheet, you let the student work on it for about maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and that's enough. Maybe with online, you have to factor in that students need to know how to access the Google Doc and such. So maybe they will need 15 minutes instead, something like that. And plan your lesson so you will minimize technical risks. Okay. Next thing is select appropriate resources that will help you accomplish the learning goals. Usually the rule of thumb for myself is I would love to balance between rigor and fun. Let me also show you a couple of alternative tools here that I'm sure many of you are also quite familiar, but these are just to illustrate my point. Usually the way I choose my resources is I try to balance between rigor and fun. So what that means is it's not just fun stuff without really any learning value, but it's also not just complicated stuff and stressful thing, right? Without also any fun in it, because students are engaged when they can enjoy the lesson. Also get yourself familiar with resources. I think it's very important, and that's why I started off by saying the concept of playground. So play around, quote unquote, with your resources so you can be more and more familiar with them. Also, if it is possible, maybe you want to choose something like a video, like here, there's a picture. Later on, we will also see this. Audio visual is is a really good option, because then you engage your students not only their one sense, like seeing the screen, but also they're hearing it. So that's good. Some of these I will demonstrate later to give you a better idea how that works in a classroom. Writing up lesson plan. Of course, all of you do this on a daily basis. This is just a sample. What I do, starting with objectives, and then I divide it into the different parts. And lastly, it's technical checkup. So make sure you try out all of your gadgets before using them, checking for lighting, electricity, and most importantly, open all of the apps and teaching materials on your laptop so they're all ready to go. Okay, so now, as I am finishing off this preparation part, I would love to hear from you again. This is what I mentioned in the beginning. After hearing, and maybe from your own personal experience also, type out some keywords related to distance learning that you have picked up from the session so far. So how do you normally set up or prepare for teaching online? This is now keywords, Bapak Ibu ya. Jadi like one word at a time. I think you probably have a limit up to 3 words. And let's see if we have some patterns here. You may use the same link. Maybe Mbak Ocha can send the link again through chat. You may use the same link, but this time you will be prompted to give keywords instead of sentences. Thank you.
Yes. Silakan Bapak Ibu, linknya sudah tersedia ya di chat box.
These two are the Kahoot, and quizzes are great for checking for understanding. It's like a playground. There's limited time. Yeah, I agree. We have to try to plan our session carefully because our time is limited. Oh, the word playground, apparently it's quite popular. I hope this idea is really, the idea of playground is really to help you not being scared, yeah, Bapak Ibu, because technology can be scary sometimes. So I think to have that mindset of, hey, this is a playground, we're learning this together, achievable. I like that. And this is another option. So if you are doing something that is discussion type, or even for concept retainment, so after you're teaching, for instance, fractions, and you want your students to be able to tell you back whether or not they are getting some of the key terms from your topic, you can always give them, this is one of the alternative that you can give your students so they can respond in real time. I think somebody was saying, how do you collect feedback from your students? This is something informal feedback that you can certainly get from your students, and in a nice visual so everybody can see. Engage, exploring, network, vary, session, recording, play, rigor, teach, fun, session, objective. Let me wait for about 30 seconds more, and then we are ready for our first QA, yeah, after this. Wow, now the word playground is really in the middle, and it's the spotlight of our discussion so far. Thank you, Bapak Ibu. Thank you so much. You're responding very quickly and promptly. Exploration, that's a big word. I see the word students here also. Specific preparation, definitely. Some of my, I guess a lot of my teachers' friends often say the preparation is actually more meticulous in a way when you are preparing for an online session. I think to some respect that is true, because you're factoring in now not just changing or adapting your material, but also what type of engagement is possible when you have only your laptop screen and a couple of other supporting tools with you. So I think let me just close it out now. Thank you again for your response for this one. Okay, Mbak Ocha.
Oke, silakan Bapak Ibu. Dari pemaparan Miss Linda, apakah ada yang ingin bertanya mengenai preparation ya tadi ya Miss Linda? Pre-teaching. Silakan, bisa menggunakan fitur raise hand yang bisa ditemukan di bagian partisipan ya Bapak Ibu. Bisa diklik, ada tulisan raise hand. Sepertinya masih malu-malu ini Miss Linda.
Masih pemanasan ya, masih warm up.
Masih pemanasan, masih warm up.
Yeah, and we also have 2 more QA. Maybe later after the demo teaching, you may also ask the question again, and the chat is always open for anyone. So feel free to do that. And our lovely Mbak Ocha will help us with your questions.
Yes, of course. Silakan.
Yeah. So thank you Bapak Ibu. Saya lanjutkan dulu ya. Let me proceed with the next one. Okay, now we would like to begin by having a kind of like a hook activity, and the purpose of hook activity is usually to capture the students' interest, to start engaging them into the topic before we start the formal discussion of our topic. So let me just give you some ideas here, and often I say I give you the ideas, but you're the expert of your classes, teachers, so feel free to adapt this idea to your grade level or to your group of students. This is in the context of year 4, and we were learning about numbers until 100,000 in this lesson. So to begin my lesson, what I did was I gave them this opening activity, and later on I will invite you to be able to participate in this as well. So this is called, I took it from this website, as you can see, and then this is about palindromic numbers. So it says here, the word Eve is a palindrome. What does it mean by palindrome? Palindrome means the word reads the same forwards as backwards. So if you look at the word Eve, it starts with E and then VE from the front, and from the back, it's also read the same, EVE. In Indonesian language, I'm thinking about an animal here that is palindrome. The word for this animal is palindrome. The animal is jumping, usually. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? And it's palindrome. The name of this animal is actually palindrome. The animal is jumping. It's not very big. It's actually, it can live in the water. It can also live on land. Ada yang bisa tebak nggak apa?
Yes, someone answering in the chat box, Miss Linda.
Apa tuh jawabannya?
Kodok, katak.
That's correct. So the answer is the word kodok. If you get that, it means you already get the idea of palindrome. Yeah, kodok and katak is the word for frog in Indonesian language, and it's read the same from forwards as backwards. So this is a great, I think palindromic numbers is always interesting because it's just a number fact, but you can introduce about numbers in this way also. So here are some of the palindromic numbers, the first digits and also second digits, 11, 22, 33, 44. Maybe I can invite you again if you wish to answer this one first. You can answer in the chat box. How many palindromic numbers are less than 100? So maybe after 44, can you also find several other palindromic numbers that are less than 100? If you know the answer, you can probably put it in the chat and let's see what you're thinking. Certainly there are more. Can you find more numbers, more palindromic numbers that are less than 100? Ada yang sudah menjawab di chat?
Yes, sudah ada, Miss. Dari Mr. Jovalin Dante, 18.
Okay.
Ada juga dari Miss Henny Iswara, 77. Oh, itu angkanya ya?
Yeah. Oh, jadi ada yang listing down ada berapa gitu ya?
Yes, betul. Ada yang menuliskan total jumlahnya ada berapa.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
And here we have from Mr. Euro, Miss or Mr. Euro, 19.
Okay, nice.
And the other is listing down the answer. Most of them answer 18, Miss.
Oke. Jadi kita hitung dari 1 sampai 9 itu ada 10. And then 1 sampai 9 ada 10. 3, 6, 9 ya. 9. 9. Error ini, error. 9, and then 11, 22, 33, 44, and the next one, of course, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99 ya. Kalau saya hitung sih berarti ada 18. Did I miss anything? Ada yang mau berpendapat? I think that's it ya. Jadi there are 18 numbers in total, and basically those are the palindromic numbers less than 100. And then depending on your style, right? Like sometimes I will say, well, that is too easy for you. You're too smart for that. So let's take a look at something a little bit more challenging. I can give them something like this, and I would like to invite your participation again. I think chat works just fine for many of you. And using chat is also better, yeah. It's also sometimes better if your group of students are not really the group of students that are really so outspoken, ya. Jadi kadang-kadang ada yang malu atau yang more introverted students in your class, then they can still give you this kind of feedback, right? If this were in a classroom situation, I think it's quite natural. You don't even think about this anymore because it's your second nature. You will walk around, right? And see, oh, si ini bisa, and then they mark something on their paper. Because we are so limited now with the online teaching, then one of the ways that you can do it is through chat. Invite them to answer something. And here, I would like to just demonstrate the use of stamps in your Zoom. So if you think you have an answer to this question, you can just type in the chat. Mbak Ocha can help me again as before. And I will mark your answers here in the table.
Oke. Silakan Bapak Ibu bisa dituliskan angka yang termasuk palindromic numbers.
Ya, betul.
They are answering the total of palindromic numbers.
Okay. Maybe we can start by with you can just type one number at a time if you think that number is palindromic. Let's start from there.
Miss Ika.
Sure.
303, Miss.
Okay, 303. Thank you, Miss Ika.
And then Mr. Ashari, 252.
Okay.
Okay, and then, oh, there is Mr. Hendrik listing down all the numbers. 252, okay. 303, and then 1,000. 200.
Okay, maybe just take one, yeah? Just take one. So other people can still try. 1,000, which one is it?
1,221.
Okay, yes, so this number right here. Thank you,
and
yes,
then, sir. Miss Valentina, 444.
444 down here. Thank you. Oh, ini ada yang langsung marking malah 5775. Tahan dulu ya, karena saya mau demonstrate the use of stamp. But thank you. I will mark this one as well.
Miss Henny, 464.
464. Thank you.
And then,
wah, ini ada yang Bapak Ibu, mohon ditahan dulu, jangan di mark ya, supaya nanti kita nggak ada yang mark, ada yang hilang gitu. Let's mark lagi. But that is an idea juga ya, and something to think about when you are setting up your Zoom, let's say with your student, do you want them to have the ability to mark the screen, or do you want the control to be in your hand? So it's something for you to actually think about. Tadi mana yang kelewat ya? Kayaknya tadi ada
303 sudah.
Ya, thank you. Ada lagi?
1221 tadi sudah ya, Miss?
Ya, thank you.
Okay. And then 5775, Miss.
5775, thank you.
Okay, we have from Miss Christina, 5005.
Thank you.
Mr. Gloria, 8008. Miss Hartini, 3443.
Yeah, okay.
And then we have, who else? Oh, Miss Christina again, 464. Okay,
anything more?
That's all, Miss.
That's all?
That's all.
Okay. And after you do something like this, you can also, I don't know if you've tried this before, or you've tried many times, what you can do is you can always save your screen. So it has the markings or the annotation, whatever that you've done on the screen. And then later after the lesson, you can share immediately with your students. So this is actually a better feature than if you think about this as like in a classroom setting, in a face-to-face meeting. Typically, you ask your students to take down the notes, or maybe you're taking down the notes. Because I also teach secondary, I know that my students are always trying to keep up with the notes that I'm writing, because sometimes I will write a lot on the board and I do not yet have the ability to produce the note right away. Some smart boards, some high-tech classroom probably have smart boards that you can print off the lesson right away. This is actually one of the benefit of using annotation tool in Zoom. You can save the note right away. So if you see my screen, there's a save button right there, and I just saved the notes just now. And you can also do the same with your students. So it actually saves some time. It's efficient. So let me clear all the drawings now. Thank you so much for your participation. And sorry, I have to hold you off a little bit because we are such a big group also. If everybody is writing at the same time on the screen, that's going to be a little chaotic, yeah? But thank you for your eagerness to participate. So let me clear all drawings for now. And I've prepared the key actually. So the next, saya mesti clear dulu and then close this one. And I'll move to the next slide. So this is a simple activity that you can do as a warm up, ya. Jadi untuk mulai starting your students to think about numbers, because today we're going to talk about numbers, for example. So here are the answers. When I actually did this activity with the students, there are some numbers, sorry, let me go back. There are some numbers that they thought was palindromic and they were not. So it's actually a good teaching moment, ya. Jadi my students were thinking, Miss, 255. Yaudah, I took their answers aja dulu. And then 6,633. Because it looks like, okay, you have some repeated digits, right? So that might be palindromic. So when those things happen, I just took their input first. And then afterwards, it can be a good discussion point with them. Is that really palindromic? Do you read the number again? Does it read the same forward and backward? And then that will be a good discussion. Okay, so that's the first idea, Bapak Ibu. And then the next thing, this is still related to...
Ms. Linda, sorry. Related to the activity of palindromic numbers,
sure.
Ms. Hani is asking, is it fine to ask students to write the number on the paper and show it to us?
Oh yeah, definitely, Bu. Especially if you're, may I know which grade level you are teaching, Miss? Miss Hani ya tadi ya?
Yes.
Miss Hani ngajar kelas berapa, Miss?
Yeah, okay. Hello, Miss Linda.
Hello, Miss.
Actually, this year I'm teaching English.
Oh, I see. Okay, Miss.
Yeah, I want to learn. Yeah, it comes to my mind. You know, since not all students, I think, understand to use this kind of activity. So I think about how to let them write on paper. That's easier maybe for some students and show it to us.
Yeah, and you can even, after giving this example, yeah, Bu, if you want to, you can also adapt it by just giving them a couple more examples of palindromic numbers. And then after that, ask them to come up with their own example. That will even be more interesting, isn't it? So can you write one more number that is not listed here on the table? That's also palindromic. And then you can even put them in small groups if you wish to expand this activity. Have their friends check with each other in the group. Jadi mereka tunjukin kan in their group, is this number palindromic, true or false? How do you know? Gitu. Jadi lebih rich lagi, ya. So thank you, Bu Hani, for your question. I can see that you're thinking of your class already, ya, as you're doing this activity. Thank you, teachers. Ya. Oke, jadi kalau menurut Bapak Ibu activity ini menarik dan sudah mulai di benaknya tuh udah mulai berpikir ya nanti di kelas bisa gimana, that's great. Because that's what I want to see even more and more in this training session. Bapak Ibu sudah invest your time, then you're thinking of how to do this for your class, that's excellent. Nanti student Bapak Ibu yang akan merasakan manfaatnya. Thank you. So ini adalah the next activity. Oops, sebentar ya. This is also another activity that is quite simple, I would say, but that can pique your student interest into the topic. So because the topic is still the same, yeah, numbers up to 100,000. Here's the example that I gave my students. First, I asked them, okay, what type of sport is this? Yeah. And surprisingly to me, all of them answer at almost the same time. They say, oh, it's baseball, they said. Okay, very interesting. How do you know? Oh, from the outfit. Mereka bilang, okay, that's fine. And then, okay, before I show them that, I actually asked them a question. So now imagine a number that is larger than 10,000 but smaller than 100,000. Can you think of that? I asked. And then they were thinking, right? So I asked them again, where in your life situation have you seen the use of numbers that are that large? Begitu ya. Jadi saya tanyakan dulu, and then some of them were answered me and say, you know, when I follow my mom or my dad to the supermarket or to the coffee shop, then I see that they are using some of these money like 20,000 or 50,000 to pay for the items at the grocery store or to pay for the items at the coffee shop. Okay, excellent. Now I would like to also show you another example of numbers that are larger than 10,000 in smaller than 100,000. Okay, so these are the list of baseball stadium in the US, and there's also the stadium capacity for each. And then I asked the student again, do you understand what it means by stadium capacity? And one or two of them were able to say, oh, okay, I think that's the number of seats. That's the total number of spectators that can fill up the whole stadium. Okay, excellent. And as you can see, here are the 5-digit numbers. So numbers that are less than 100,000. That tells you about the stadium capacity. And then if you want to, you can even ask your student to recite some of these numbers for you. So for example, can you tell me what's the capacity of the Dodger Stadium? And then let them answer back to you. Okay, 56,000. Sure, that's great. Can you tell me the stadium capacity for SunTrust Park? Okay, very good. And then can you tell me the stadium capacity for Tropicana Field? And then they will answer you back. So something like that can also serve as, you know, checking for their prior knowledge. Are they able to recite or recall the numbers accurately by looking at what the number looked like? And then as a follow-up, I asked them some of these questions. And again, I guess you can answer through the chat, or if you feel comfortable, you can also just unmute yourself and speak up. I think that's okay. Which stadium has the largest capacity? So take a look through the table here. What do you think is the stadium with the largest capacity? Yang mana yang paling besar ya, yang paling muat banyak? Kayaknya ada yang masuk nih di chat. Okay. Oh, Dodger Stadium, thank you. So that's the stadium with the largest capacity. What about stadium with the smallest capacity? Be careful ya, Bapak Ibu, lihat datanya baik-baik. Can you tell me the name of the stadium with the smallest capacity? Ah, very good, Tropicana Field ya. Jadi tidak terjebak. Because here, if you take a look from the first to the last one, it looks like the numbers are decreasing over time. But here's the catch. Once you get into the 5th and the 6th number, it's not actually quite like that, because the numbers are getting smaller up to the 5th one. And then it gets a little larger, it gets smaller again, it gets larger. I did this intentionally. Disengaja, Bapak Ibu. Bukan untuk menjadi guru yang hobi menjebak, tidak begitu. But it helps your student to think carefully and look at the information carefully before making a final conclusion. Gitu. Okay, the next question. So this is simple, yeah. If we talk about formative assessment, of course, there are many ways to assess our student, give formative assessment, but something like this will also tell you if your students know how to compare numbers already. Which one has larger capacity, Great American Ballpark or SunTrust Park? So let's compare these two stadium capacity. And let's see which one has a larger capacity. The first one or the second one? Let's see, Great American. And then the next question is smaller capacity. Which one has a smaller capacity? Yankee Stadium or Dodger Stadium? Relatif mudah-mudah ya sebetulnya, as long as you know As long as, thank you for your answers, teachers. As long as your students know how to compare the 5-digit numbers, then they should be able to answer correctly. If they don't, then again, that's a teaching moment for you. Catch that moment and discuss that with the students. Okay. So ini kan pada dasarnya basic idea is just like any activity again that you would normally do in a classroom. You will present them with a real life application of the numbers, and then you will ask them several questions. It's just now you're changing it into a PowerPoint. You ask their feedback using chat and things like that. Okay. Now for this next one, I will try to do the delivery of the lesson. So the first two activities, the palindromic number and baseball stadium capacity, was meant to be kind of like a hook activity. So preferably you did those two activities at the beginning of your lesson. Of course, if that fits better somewhere else in your lesson, so as a conclusion or somewhere in the middle of the lesson, feel free to adapt those two ideas that way. But as for me, what I did with those two activities were at the beginning of the lesson. And then now I would like to show you, in the context of comparing numbers, for instance, I would like to show you some virtual manipulatives that you can use in order to deliver a content. And I would like to demonstrate some things here. So let me just share a different screen with you. Okay. So in the context of face-to-face meeting, of course, you will be using a lot of manipulatives, yeah. Sometimes when you are doing an online teaching, you might want to use something like this. As you can see, this is from one of our resources here at Mentari. It's called Marshall Cavendish EDU Hub. Because it's a hub, it's basically a compilation of different type of resources, one of which being the manipulatives, as you can see now. So for instance, if you want to use these resources, you can use it two ways. You can start with a number. So let's say 54,261. And then here on the right-hand side, it's, you can see how the counters are following each of the different digit in the place value. So if it is 54,261, you have 5 counters in the 10,000s place, 4 in the thousands place, 2 in the hundreds place, 6 in the tens place, and 1 in the ones place. And then suppose you want to compare this with 54,271. Okay, you can teach a lesson about comparing numbers. And you can even do this, something like this. Let me just demonstrate. So as you are guiding the students to compare these two numbers, how do you want to guide them? So maybe you can ask your students, how would you, let me ask you now, right? Because you are my students now in a way. So if you want to answer this, just feel free to unmute yourself so we can hear from you. When you compare numbers, what would be the first step? Or what would be some things that you would communicate to your students? Ada yang mau menjawab? Silakan. What are some of the things that you need to pay attention to when you are comparing numbers? So how do you compare numbers? Adakah Bapak Ibu yang mau volunteer dan menjawab?
Check on the number of the digits.
Check the number of digit. Thank you, Ibu Tri atau Ibu Suranti saya panggilnya. Check the number of digits. This is actually one step further, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me.
sure.
Okay. If I ask to the student to take a look the ones place first, so you have to compare the one place after after this compared to the for the next is the same digit number, yeah. So we have to start from the 1 place, 10 place, and 100 place like this.
So we compare. Thank you, Bu, for your answer. So we compare based on the place value. Ini sebenarnya yang langkah pertama. Tadi saya berkata yang tadi jawaban pertama dari Ibu Tri Suranti ya. Check the number of digit. Ini sebenarnya saya ambil waktu dulu. Saya save sebentar. This is a little bit like the next step because let me give you another example. Yeah, if I have something like this, the third example, 5,426. Ini kan number of digits-nya sudah lain ya. Ada 4 digit dibandingkan dengan 5 digit. Obviously, 5 digit number will be bigger. Very good. Jadi ini sudah thinking one step ahead. Nah, kemudian how do you compare? Ya, how do you compare? Tadi ada jawaban, kita harus melihat dari place value-nya. So step 2 will be compare the digits in the place value. After looking at this example, where would you begin? Would you begin from the largest place value, or would you begin with the smallest place value?
The largest place value.
You start with the largest.
Yes, 10,000.
Thank you, Miss. So you start with the largest place value. So in this case, we will consider the digit in the 10,000s place. So we will consider the digit in the 10,000s place. So both of these two numbers are showing 5 counters. So 5 in the 10,000s place. Because it's the same, so we do not yet know which one is the larger number. So you move to the thousands place, you do the same. It's still the same number of counters. You move to the hundreds place. And then next you move to the tens place. That's when you start seeing the difference. It's 6 tens and 7 tens. 7 tens is larger than 6 tens. So you know that 54,271 is larger than 54,261. Begitu. Of course, when you are doing this with the student, it is probably going to take a little bit longer. And again, here, I just demonstrated how you can make note as you are guiding your students through the process, and you can save this note. Begitu ya. Jadi you can use the manipulatives as needed in order to clarify your concept. So even though this is not the concrete, and later I will also show you how to do using some concrete materials, you can still illustrate the concept. And with the visual, it will help a little bit better, because then your students can compare between the visual and the number and the notes that you have on the screen. Begitu ya, kira-kira? Okay, I would like to also show you another one. This tool will be useful for multiplication, yeah. So the nice thing about this manipulative is you can show the process of multiplying. So you will have a visual for multiplying by 1 digit or by 2 digits number. Okay, let me just prepare that in a minute. And then I will show you how to multiply. Sometimes when you are multiplying, you would like your students to know first, right? Like which one do you begin and things like that. So let me just show it to you. Multiplying by 1 digit number. Okay, there's something quite simple here. Now it's showing. Okay, so another visual here that you can possibly try is you can see that now it's changed into, so still using the same resource, but now this is for multiplication. And you see that this is just really simple, 2 digit multiplied by 1 digit number. So 2 digit number, it has tens and ones. So you can have, for example, if you have 3 tens and 4 ones. Okay, so 34, and then you would like to multiply this by 3, for example. Let's see what's happening with your virtual manipulative here. So I will start, when you multiply, where do you start? Tens or ones? Ones, right? So you start with the smallest place value, multiply, and as you multiply, you can see the action here is there will be 3 groups formed, and you will multiply the digit in the ones place, so you will have 12 ones altogether. And if you notice carefully here, the cubes, each cube represent 1. So 10 cubes make a group of 110. If you click on that arrow, 10 ones make 110, and you still have 2 ones, 2 in the ones place. So now you repeat the process and you multiply. Multiply 3 tens by 3, so you will obtain 9 tens. And remember, you have 110 as well. Okay, here, because there's no extra here, because this is prepared for two-digit number only. So you kind of have to explain to your students, or I guess remind them that 10 tens make 100, okay? But if you are using a bigger place value met, you will be able to repeat the process of regrouping, and this 10 of tens will become 1 ones. So that can also be used as an alternative tool for you to deliver your lesson about multiplication. Okay. So initially, this is what we did. We were comparing between two numbers, and I was using the place value met while annotating. And of course, you can also follow up by asking your students, hey, would you, can you now tell me about this? You can also still do it with them together. Okay. The next type of resources that I would like to expose you to is the video, and I have several videos available for you. The first one here is about comparing numbers, so still kind of like related to the lesson that we had just now about comparing 5-digit numbers. When we compare numbers, we may use these phrases such as less than, greater than, the least, the greatest, and equal. I would like to let you sit back and relax for a bit, and let's listen to this song in the video, okay? The video is about 3 minutes, so I'm just going to play it.
132 and 824. The gator eats the one that's worth more. He looks at the place values from left to right. It's the greatest hundreds place, so he takes a big bite. The hungry alligator eats the number that's greater. The number that's least is never part of his feast. 355 and 332. The gator needs to eat the one with the greater value. He looks at the place values from left to right. 5's the greatest tens place, so he takes a big bite. The hungry alligator eats the number that's greater. The number that's least is never part of his feast. 145 and 149. The gator needs the greater value on the number line. He looks at the place values from left to right. 9's the greatest ones place, so he takes a big bite. The hungry alligator eats the number that's greater. The number that's least is never part of his feast. Now the numbers are the same on both sides. The gator wants to eat, but he can't decide. Neither is greater or less, it's a perfect tie. So the alligator writes an equal sign. The hungry alligator eats the number that's greater. The number that's least is never part of his feast. The hungry alligator eats the number that's greater. The number that's least is never part of his feast. If there's a line underneath the greater than sign, greater than or equal to us have a sign is defined. I'll write a line underneath the less than sign, and less than or equal to is the name of the design.
Hi there. I'm an alligator, so let's keep this snappy. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you that the greater than symbol goes from big to small, and it's called the greater than symbol. The less than symbol goes from small to big, and it's called the less than symbol. The larger number always goes on the open side of the angle. For example, this reads as 50 is greater than 10. And this is read as 10 is less than 50.
Let me stop there. Are there any Is there anybody who would like to comment? What did you notice from the video? Did you notice any repeated pattern at all? What do you notice? Mungkin bisa ada 2 respon. Kalau yang mau langsung speak up ya. Bisa share raise hand dulu mungkin. What do you notice from this video about the alligator? Anything?
Silakan.
Any repetition? Anything you notice from the video?
Alligator always eat the bigger number.
The alligator, it's a hungry alligator, so he always looks after, eats the bigger number. Thank you, Miss. Any other observation? What do you notice? Maybe I'll just show you the question, yeah? What does the alligator eat? It's always the larger number. How does he know which number is larger? Nah, mungkin ada yang mau menjawab nih. How does the alligator know which number is larger? I think there's a part of the video in which the alligator shows his thinking process, if you may. Jadi ini alligatornya educated, hungry alligator ya.
Okay, there's the answer from Miss Ika by comparing the numbers.
By comparing the digits, yeah? By comparing the digits is in the number. So I like that part also in the video, and it's repeated as well. I think about 3 times in the video. So he compares, and it's highlighted, right? With the red and the blue color, which number is larger. Start comparing from the hundreds, and then the tens, and the ones. So he knows which number is the larger one. Do you remember the symbols used in the video? Here's a summary. Sepertinya ini masih ada juga yang masuk ya Mbak Ocha ya, from the chat.
Yes, Miss Linda.
Ada jawaban-jawaban juga ya yang come up from the chat. Thank you Bapak Ibu for keeping yourself engaged and participating. So here are the 3 main symbols. Towards the end, there's also another one, but the 3 that I would like to highlight was the symbol greater than. That's the example. The symbol less than, and the equal symbol, which means that nothing is greater than the other, and the alligator will not eat anything, and instead he will put the equal sign. Now, here's also another one, and now we switch gear a little bit. Previously, the lesson was about whole numbers, and here's another video that we can possibly use when we teach about fractions. So let me also play the video, and then we will discuss a little bit from the video. This is, by the way, taken again from the Marshall Cavendish EDU Hub. So the same platform that I used for the manipulatives earlier. So let me just play the video first.
2 staff members of a bakery are discussing how to pack a fraction of a strawberry cake for a customer.
I need to pack 1/4 of a strawberry cake for my customer.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This cake has been cut into 8 slices.
How many slices make up 1/4 of the cake?
So this one is the first part of the video. So as you can see, the setting, there are 2 people, 2 staff at a bakery shop. And they're wondering, one of the person is wondering how many slices make up 1/4 of the cake, okay? Because 1/2 and 1/4 are probably 2 of the most familiar fractions that you can expect. So the students would be able to know. This is equivalent for grade 4 as well. So they should be able to know, okay, 1/2 and 1/4, right? You can even begin discussion from this. What I did in the lesson, actually, I highlighted this part when they have the picture of the slices of the cake. So let me just move that forward a little bit. So the cake has been cut into 8 slices. So hopefully, as they are looking at this is clear enough representation, right? Hopefully your students can visualize, okay, 1/4. Think about 1/4. How big is 1/4, yeah? Oh, it's like that L letter shape, 90-degree angle, right? If they know angles already. So, okay, so how many pieces of cake make up a quarter. So here again, you can use annotation if you want to. So the cake has been cut into 8 slices. That's in the video already. So a quarter of a cake is equal to, and then you can ask your students. So students, can you help us here? How many cakes do you think make up a quarter, right? And then they should be able to respond to you. So in this case, a quarter of a cake is equal to 2 pieces. And you can save this one as well as a note. So even during a lesson, you can play the whole video. You can also play parts of the video and then pause and let your students follow through by answering your questions. So you can use the resources as you see best fit to the learning objectives. Okay. I believe in the next video, you will see the answer provided.
2 staff members.
Let me just play this.
There are 8 slices of cake. 2 out of 8 slices of the cake make the fraction 2/8. This is equivalent to 1/4.
So I need to pack 2 slices.
How about this other strawberry cake? It has been cut into 12 slices. How many slices make up 1/4 of this cake?
Okay, so the next question will be, if you have 12 slices in a cake, how many of the same size, how many slices will make up a quarter? And of course, you can again ask your students and expect them to answer you that way. Ini ada yang answer juga ya via chat? Betul nggak Mbak Ocha? Ada yang
Miss.
kasih input?
Yes, 3 participants here. We have Miss Rati and Mr. Ashari and Mr. Tijantusa. They are answering 3 pieces.
3 pieces, well
and
done.
Miss Adeline also.
Well done. So even as you are playing the video, right? Like, how do you keep your students engaged? I think in any kind of math classes and really any classes in general, how do you keep your participants, your students engaged is by asking them questions, pointed questions that are relevant to what they are watching. So I think if you are doing this kind of exercise several times already with them, they kind of know, your students kind of know, oh, when we are watching video, there will be some follow-up questions so that they can remain engaged, they can give the responses and things like that. Yeah, so those are audio-visual resources that you can certainly use, excellent resources you can certainly use in order to enhance the conceptual development in your math class.
There are 8.
Okay, now this is another, yes, and I think I see a raised hand, yeah?
Yes,
so
Miss Linda.
Ocha can start helping me with the QA, Bapak Ibu.
We have the first participant who would like to ask you, Miss Linda. It's Miss Adeline. Silakan, Miss Adeline.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the times.
Yes. Miss Adeline ini kayaknya terputus mendadak. Iya.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Hello, Miss.
Yeah.
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, because my connection is unstable, right? Okay. I want to ask how we if 2 numbers have the same numbers of digits, how we can explain to our student and then how we can explain to our student which one the greater, which one the less number, like that.
Yeah. Yeah, as I've shown you earlier, maybe if you are asking about, the media, in terms of the media, you can certainly use like the manipulatives, yeah. And then maybe instead of starting, because my students are in grade 4 already, so the number of digitsnya kan banyak ya, Miss. But if
my student is grade 1.
Yeah, if grade
primary 1. In the
right.
primary 1 is have a comparing number also, but the small number only, like comparing number 1 until 10, like that.
1 until 10. I think the most practical advice I can give you is you always start with real objects, ya, Bu, Miss Adeline. So you can start by preparing maybe like small cubes or small marbles or even just cut out papers, ya. Jadi Ibu bikin guntingan-guntingan kertas, like maybe squares, all the same shape, and then you can ask your student to compare. So like you have maybe like 3 and 7, right?
Sometimes,
So take a look at this.
Yeah. Sometimes they are asking me if the numbers is 1 until 10, the number have only 1 digit, right, Miss?
That's right.
Have students ask to me, Miss, we have 2 numbers, and then we want to comparing this number. For the example, number 4 and number 4, like that. Can we comparing this number, Miss? Like that.
Oh, you mean is there is one larger than another or not? Yeah, begitu ya, Miss. Yeah. So I think that's a good question, and I think again I would really highly encourage, especially this is grade 1 ya. Grade 1 itu baru 6 years old.
Yes.
Bring the real objects because at that time also the concept development of numbers, they're just learning about quantity ya. Jadi ada berapa jumlahnya, and then it's best to just present concrete. Or if you're using a PowerPoint presentation, you can just put pictures so they can compare by counting on. Nah, harapannya kan mereka sudah diajarkan counting on ya, jadi starting from
counting on and counting back.
1, 2, 3, 4. Jadi berarti kalau ada yang lewat dari 4, misalnya 5, obviously it will have more. And kalau dengan ada objeknya kan sebetulnya terlihat ya, misalnya 4 and 7, which one has more, begitu. Jadi I would encourage you to use material that your students can access easily, atau pakai gambar langsung juga bisa. Gitu.
So we have to use the media also.
Atau kalau kebetulan ada virtual manipulative yang seperti tadi I demonstrated, itu kan sebenarnya counternya nambah satu-satu tuh Bu. Jadi prosesnya visually 1, 2, 3 nanti, jadi mereka bisa lihat mana yang bertambahnya lebih banyak gitu ya, kurang lebih. Thank you Miss Adeline.
Thank you Miss Linda.
Yes, maybe one more ya sebelum kita continue on with the next part.
Yes, silahkan Bapak Ibu jika ada yang ingin bertanya atau mungkin sharing ya Miss Linda ya.
Sharing
Silakan.
experience juga boleh, especially if you're also teaching grade 1, maybe if you have similar experience with Miss Adeline or you have another suggestion also, that's certainly welcome because we are a learning community here.
Yes, that's true. Silakan bisa menggunakan fitur raise hand ya, ada di bagian partisipan. Atau mungkin bisa gunakan chat box juga.
Yeah, that's true. Nah, sepertinya masuk nih chat box.
Yes, betul Miss Linda. We have from Miss Septika. Miss Linda, what is the best media to be used to explain word problems?
Word problems, yeah. Actually, for today, we're not really specifically talking about word problems, but however, it really depends on what you are trying to do with the students. Like, for example, yeah, because the last one, we were talking about fractions, right? There are, again, because in Singapore mathematics, which is our main primary curriculum, whenever we are doing training here in Mentari, we are referring to Singapore curriculum, and typically the first stage is always the concrete stage. You can always introduce a word problem by using concrete material as well. So if you want to talk about fractions, for example, concrete materialsnya bisa dari fraction strips or fraction pizza, or bisa juga menggunakan your own made manipulatives. Jadi misalnya dari kertas yang digunting menjadi beberapa bagian yang sama, or from one paper you fold it into several equal parts. Dari situ bisa dipakai untuk memperkenalkan how do you answer certain problems related to fractions. Of course, kalau di Singapore Mathematics juga, one of the prominent features that they have would be using bar model tuh. Jadi kalau fractions bisa dipecahkannya dengan menggunakan bar model, itu juga bisa menjadi salah satu media untuk memperkenalkan bagaimana word problem itu semestinya bisa kerjakan ya. Jadi kalau dari segi media, dari concrete, of course you can do that using paper strips, for example. And then moving on to the pictorial stage, which is representation of the problem. Jadi problem itu bisa dinyatakan dalam bentuk apa? Misalnya dalam bentuk gambar, bar model, table, and things like that. And then lastly, baru dijelaskan proses abstraknya bagaimana. Kalau in terms of apakah bisa pakai PowerPoint, tentu bisa. Apakah bisa pakai Microsoft Word? Tentu bisa ya. Jadi it's not limited. It depends on what you are familiar with and depends also on the learning goals. Segitu kira-kira ya, Miss, tadi untuk pertanyaannya. Oke, apakah ada chat masuk lagi? Tadi sepertinya ada.
Yes, Miss Linda. Actually, there is a question about how to make sure that students understand. Well, that's actually what you are going to share, right, after this?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Some of the tools to check for students' understanding. So, yeah.
So maybe you can continue to the next slides.
Yes, I think that's a great segue into our next part of this presentation, which is, this is for checking for understanding. So I have some ideas here. The first one, I'm giving you a quiz. I'm a math teacher. I like to give my students quiz. Our operator is going to help you again and share a link of Google form with you. This quiz is about numbers up to 100,000. So please feel free to take the quiz. Mungkin Mbak Ocha bisa mulai share linknya.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to share the link.
And I will also prepare the layout here. So I can take a look at how many responses that have been submitted successfully. So this is one of the ways if you would like to do a formative assessment, let's say, you can try something like this. Maybe you've been asked to fill out a survey before or like a form before. You can also use this as a learning tools or teaching tools, I guess, for teachers, to check for your students' understanding. So you can create a quiz, have your students fill this out. And all you need is just in the setting, you can change that into a quiz setting. Okay, let me see. I start off with 25 because I've given this quiz before to some of my students. But please feel free to respond. I will give you a few minutes so you can try this out. There are two parts. The first part is just your name, and then the next part will be the questions. For example, like this. Jadi silakan langsung mengunjungi linknya, mengisi nama, dan kemudian mencoba. Jadi ini lumayan ya, tes-tes pengetahuan umum nih. Pengetahuan umum matematika.
Refresh lagi ya.
Ya, betul. Kita pertajam lagi siang ini. I will be able to know if you have successfully submitted your lesson. Oh, sudah ada satu nih sepertinya yang berhasil karena the responses is now growing by 1. So ada 26, ada yang sudah berhasil nih. Saya akan tunggu beberapa menit lagi ya, mungkin 3 more minutes to give more chances for more people to submit your responses. This is more like experiencing it firsthand ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi Bapak Ibu tahu kira-kira ini feasible atau tidak. So maybe for your class, if you teach younger grades, is it feasible for them to take this kind of quiz? One thing I do like about this though is you can take a look at the summary, take a look at each question, take a look at each individual even if you want to know a specific individual in your class, particularly those who are probably normally struggling with math, then you can take a look at what they do and see if they are able to answer the questions correctly or incorrectly. So you can test for that. Sudah 4 orang nih sepertinya. Oh, 5 orang. 5 people. Thank you Bapak Ibu ya untuk memasukkannya. Jadi berarti with this experience also, I hope you can see it firsthand for yourself. Oh, how many minutes does it take for me to actually complete this quiz? I think the rule of thumb generally when I create any kind of assessment for my students is berapapun waktu kita dikaliin 3 ya untuk student at the average student. So for example, if Miss Linda can can complete the quiz in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, let's say, berarti average student I will assume can complete the quiz in 9 minutes. Jadi kalau tadi ada yang bilang soal limited time ya, it means that we have to have a careful plan for time management, then you can consider those factors. Oke. Kalau saya ambil quiz ini udah 5 menit, berarti nanti di kelas assumption-nya adalah about 15 minutes mungkin for students. Also, I think I'm grateful because wah ini cepet ya, mulai cepet ini responsesnya, ini sudah almost 20 people yang sudah memasukkan. Thank you Bapak Ibu for trying this out with me. Ya, jadi kalau seandainya, jadi dari in terms of time, you can also estimate how long will it take for students to complete the task. And also, ini saya bersyukur kayaknya Bapak Ibu sudah cukup familiar ya dengan Google Form, jadi saya tidak usah go through the steps lagi. All I needed to share with you is just the link. Kemudian Bapak Ibu sudah berhasil gitu ya, masukkan sendiri. With your students, if they're not yet familiar with this platform, just make sure you take some time to explain to them. Okay, and then you can go through the question and see if there is a pattern. Like for example, if there are certain questions that you do not get many correct responses for, then maybe you can also take a look at those questions and then bahas ya dengan student Bapak Ibu di kelas. So ini questionnya yang tadi sudah dilakukan. Yeah, so you can adjust it, adapt it, but Google Form is quite simple, I would say, once you get the hang of it. Oke, itu yang pertama. Jadi untuk cek pemahaman, ini ada satu question, boleh saya address dulu ya, dari Miss Maria. Ya, dari Miss Maria. Ada yang tadi bertanya ya, what is the name of the application that you use so the student's response can be appeared in one screen directly, just like you did before? Saya mau follow up sebentar. Ada Miss Maria?
Halo, Miss Maria. Oke.
Halo, Miss.
Ya.
Miss Maria, ini yang bagian mana ya, Miss? Kalau saya boleh tahu, jadi saya bisa jawab pertanyaannya, Miss.
In the beginning.
Oh, yang polling itu ya? Polling?
Yes.
Yeah. So for the polling, Miss Maria bisa, jadi saya akan langsung jawab saja ya. Ini namanya adalah mungkin to everyone juga, in case you would like to play with it as well. That's going to be poll everywhere. Begitu?
Okay.
Jadi yang langsung real time ya, yang survei tadi. Okay, thank you. Okay. Saya kembali, jadi yang pertama, quiz bisa dilakukan via Google Form. You set it up and you let your students take it. Nah, ini ada versi yang lebih sederhana, jadi mari kita lakukan bersama juga. Terkadang, what if you just want to check for your student understanding quickly, seperti yang tadi misalnya di awal, stamp, right? We're using stamps to mark which ones from the numbers in the table, there are palindromic numbers. Now this one is just true, false, right? And this is a good follow-up, maybe after the video you watch with the students, how to compare which number is smaller, which number is larger. Dan untuk ini, kita akan lakukan a simple exercise. So basically, for every statement that you see, I will just call on the number for the statement. So I will just point, for example, statement number 1. Do you think that's true or do you think that's false? Nah, supaya kita lebih mudah, tahu caranya pakai reaction ya Bapak Ibu ya. You can put the thumbs kalau seandainya benar, dan mungkin tidak put thumbs kalau seandainya itu false. Ya, kalau misalnya belum nemu reaction button, don't worry Bapak Ibu, langsung posisikan diri sehingga mukanya dan thumb-nya kelihatan. Nah, tuh Miss
di
Adeline.
Kamera ya.
Ya. Langsung aja begini gitu ya, atau even thumbs down juga bisa ya kalau pakai thumbs sendiri. Jadi you may use reaction or you may use your own thumb, dan nanti mungkin Mbak Ocha bisa bantu saya dengan melihat banyak nih Miss yang thumbs up gitu.
Oke, siap Miss Linda.
Oke, ya. Shall we begin? Ready? Nafas dulu ya, nafas dulu. And we'll get started ya. Kayaknya tegang
degan
gitu.
Ini kayaknya pada deg-degan Miss Linda.
Degan gitu ya. Soalnya true false itu gampang apa susah ya? Kadang saya suka tanya begitu sama murid-murid ya. Do you prefer a true false statement atau do you prefer something else? True false itu deg-degan loh Miss Linda, kata murid-murid saya. Soalnya itu kan 50-50. Kalau nggak true ya false, kalau nggak false ya itu benar juga ya. So you cannot just cap cip cup istilahnya ya, nggak bisa cuma tebak-tebak. Cap cip cup means you just guessing lah, whichever one is correct. But you have to actually know for sure, is that true or is that false? Karena kalau udah jawab true ternyata false, ya udah nggak boleh ganti dong, kan udah tahu. Cuma 2 options. Oke, siap ya? Saya hanya akan bacakan saja. Starting from statement number 1, let's see. Do you think that is true or do you think that is false?
Oke, silakan. Bisa gunakan reaction atau di kamera ya.
Wah, kayaknya sih kalau dari penampakan layar saya, mostly true ya.
Yes,
Oke.
betul. Ada yang clap, Miss.
Ada yang clap. Oh, mungkin biar beda dari thumbs ya. Kalau
Betul,
clap,
biar langsung terlihat.
okay, very good. What about statement number 2? Okay. Okay. What about statement number 3? Statement number 3 ya. Ada yang sampai 2 saya lihat.
Iya, aduh. Masih ada yang
Statement number 4. What about statement number 4?
Okay, thumbs down ada ya. Banyak yang thumbs down.
Okay. What about statement number 5? The last statement that we've got. Is that a true or a false statement?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you Bapak Ibu for participating with me. Sekarang saya mau buka dulu forum ya. I would like to ask maybe one person or 2 people can answer. What do you notice I did, or what do you notice I didn't do when I was guiding you through this activity? Jadi apa saja yang tadi Miss Linda lakukan ya as a teacher? What did I do in order to guide you through the process? Ini juga a little bit free responses ya. Jadi ini semi open ended. Jadi silakan kalau mau berpendapat. What did I do as a teacher? What did I not do as a teacher? Ada yang mau speak up? Kayaknya ada sedikit suara yang bilang ada gitu, tapi saya nggak tahu tuh.
Oh, there's someone answering on the chat box, Miss. It's Miss Rasil.
Sure.
You did not read the statement.
That is something that I did intentionally. Thank you, Miss, for sharing that. Kira-kira, nah, follow-up question from there. I did not read the statement. I simply point, right? Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4, statement 5. Kira-kira, why did I not do that? Why did I choose not to read the statement, Bapak Ibu? Ya, Miss Rasil ya? Ya, go ahead, Miss. Miss-nya masih muted tuh.
Okay.
Thank you.
You did not read it because if you're going to read the statement, then you're actually giving the answer.
Exactly.
And smaller, right?
Yes, that's correct. And that was my intention because remember, this is a checking for understanding, right? So I want the students to be able to read this mathematical statement, interpret it accurately. So it depends, yeah. If you think that your students are not yet ready, then maybe you want to help them a little bit clarifying, right? So is this number smaller than or larger than? But if you want to check, better just give them the statement and let them decide. Yes. What else did I not do? Thank you, Ms. Rasil, for your answer. What else did I not do? So I collected your responses, right? Okay, thumbs up or thumbs down, and then okay. We continued on. What else did I not do? Did I right away give you the answer if it is true or false?
No, there is someone answering no.
No, yeah. So that's also intentional because the answer will come up after this. So I just want people to feel free, give me, if it is just a whole class, I think it's relatively easier for you to kind of see. If you want to, again, you can even put a stamp or put an annotation, whichever one is true, whichever one is false, and then you will be able to verify later with the whole class. So the next slide will give you the answer. So at this point, if you wish to, you can even go through each statement again. So let's read the statement now. You can even invite them, okay? Let's just take a sample. For instance, statement number 1. Who is brave enough to read that mathematical statement for all of us? The answer for that one is true. Who would like to read that statement out loud for the whole class? Ada yang mau?
Silakan Bapak Ibu. Ceritanya students-nya ya ini Miss Linda.
Betul, betul. Oh,
Oke,
Miss
ada
Hannah
nih,
raised
Miss
hand.
Hannah, silakan.
Go ahead, Miss Hannah. How would you read statement number 1, please?
Okay. 12,566 is lesser than 12,665.
Well done. And that is true, right? Thank you. Let's read something that is false, yeah? Number 2 to contrast it. So anyone would like to read the mathematical statement in number 2?
And who's speaking, Miss?
Okay.
Yes. Oh, Mr. this time. Yay. Okay.
All right. 31,200 is greater than 32,100.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
that, thank you. And that is a false statement. Now, sometimes it happens so that if it leads into, you know, another point where some of your students are not quite sure, or like 50-50, right? Like some students think it's false, some think it's true. And sometimes with students, they are quite spontaneous, right? That they will pinpoint, oh, it's actually true. No, it's actually false, right? So what do you do when that happens? That's another good opportunity where you can make use of some of the manipulative, some of the concrete materials that you have used in the teaching part before, and show it again to the students. Ya, jadi when that happens, when there's a debate in your class, that can also be used as another teaching moment, teaching point that you should seize, tangkep ya momennya, jangan sampai hilang gitu. Thank you Bapak Ibu. Nah, berikutnya. This is a game, but of course, the game of mathematics ya. Namanya adalah factor game. And I would like to just show you the Microsoft Word document that you can, that we will be using. Jadi begini, kita akan bagi dalam 2 kelompok besar ya, dan karena ini adalah Bapak Ibu sekalian, jadi Bapak Ibu bisa membagi diri ke dalam 2 kelompok, dan basically what I would like us to do is begini saja baginya ya, karena kan kita ada Bapak, ada Ibu juga. Ini masih yang multiplication ya sepertinya. Bentar, let me open another one here. So let me just divide you into 2 groups. Yang pertama, nah sekarang baru muncul. The first group, you may consider yourself group 1. Kita lakukan berdasarkan ulang tahun aja ya Bapak Ibu, based on birthday. So if your birthday is between January to June, ada di sini yang birthday-nya dari January to June, jadi Januari, Februari, Maret, April, Mei, atau June. Ya, you may consider yourself as group 1. And then if your birthday is anytime between July to December, you may consider yourself as group 2. Jelas, Bapak Ibu? Nanti we will take your response based on group 1 or group 2. And we will try this several times, yeah? So you can use this if you want to. So basically, this is to check students' understanding of factors. Jadi kalau sudah belajar perkalian, pembagian, normally you can also introduce the idea of factors, yeah, to your student. So the game looks like this. Group 1 will choose a number. So whomever would like to be the first one, you will choose a number. For example, here, if somebody from group 1 choose number 4, then I will mark it with the yellow highlighter. So that's going to be the number you choose. And then the other group, the opponent group, will try to find all factors of 4. So in this case, what are the factors of 4? That is 1, and then 2, and then 4 itself, right? But 4 was already chosen, so you will not take that again. So here, on the scoring rubric, group 1, I will put 4. Group 2, I will put 1, and then plus 2. So that's going to equal to 3. And then now, it's the red group turn, group 2. Group 2 can choose another number, and then group 1 will choose the factor and that goes back and forth. Yeah. If you choose a number, let's say if one group choose number 5, and then let's say this number, teachers probably know this is kind of different from 4, right? In terms of factor. What are the factors of 5? If you think about 5, what are the factors of 5?
1 and 5.
Yeah, 1 and 5. And 1 and 5 are both already chosen, right? So there's no more factors that can be chosen. So with this, then this group actually loses their turn and it will go back again to group red group. Sorry. Yeah. So basically the whole idea of the game is how do you strategize? If you're really playing in your classroom and you're able to fight based on group, that will be even more interesting to see the competition side of the students as well. And then at the end, we will try to collect the score. We will try this maybe 2 or 3 times, yeah? Just so that you get a chance to be the player as well. Okay, you can either use chat or you can use raise hand if you want to volunteer for your group. If you are, kita cek dulu deh, siapa group 1 ya yang ulang tahunnya dari January to June? Ada?
Boleh di-unmute, silahkan cek suara.
Berarti itu grup 1. Kemudian yang ulang tahunnya di grup, ulang tahunnya dari July until December. It means that you are going to be group 2. Yes, very good. Oke ya, sudah paham. Nanti kalau misalnya lupa highlight, diingetin aja ya. Because sometimes if you are saying your answers or giving your answers, sometimes your answer come more quickly than my words. Oke, kita mulai ya. Let's begin. Let's get started. So group yellow group 1 will begin first. Kayaknya Ibu Rati Pratiwi ya would like to share your answer. Angka berapa Ibu that you would like to choose?
Silakan Miss Rati, masih di-unmute? Masih di-mute, sorry. Oke.
Sorry?
Ya, silakan Miss.
Oke ya, I choose the number ya?
Yes, you choose the number to start.
I will choose number 20.
Number 20. Sebentar ya, let me erase the number that I used previously as sample, jadi kita nggak bingung. So, number 20 ya, Miss?
Yes, number 20.
Thank you, Miss. So, I will put this for group 1. Okay, and then now, whomever has birthday between July to December, maybe you can give your answers. What are the factors of 20? Keep in mind, factors divide your numbers exactly. Okay, so you can think of that, teachers. Miss, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Otherwise, you can correct me. Miss Jofalin, yeah?
Yes. Good afternoon. I am Jofalin, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the factors of 20 are 1, 2,
okay,
4,
okay,
5,
10,
10.
and 10. Okay, I will put
And
this
20, but it will not belong to our group anymore.
That's right. Thank you, Ms. Jofalin, for listing all 5 factors of 20. Group 1, if you think there's still more factors of 20 that we have not marked yet, you can speak up and add. And then maybe now somebody from, so 1, 2, 4, oopsies, 5, 10. Okay. So now next, group 2 will get to choose. So someone else from group 2. So it means if your birthday is between July to December, you can suggest the next number either by speaking up or by saying it in the chat. Yeah. Whichever one comes first come, first serve. That's what I will mark. Silakan. Ini kayaknya masih strategizing ya. I believe strategizing because they want their group to win. This is what happened actually in my class. At first, they just choose whatever number. After that, they realize, oh, hang on. Strategy.
Oh, we
Okay.
have here Miss
Yes.
from Miss Christina, 50.
Sure. Yes. Berapa?
50 from Miss
Oh,
Christina.
berarti red ya. Team
Yeah.
2. Okay. 50. Very good. And then team 1 will, group 1. We call it group, yeah. So group 1 will, whomever is in group 1, you may either speak up or give us the factors of 50. So I should mark it with yellow this time. Anybody see?
From group 1, Miss.
Sure.
Factors
Yes.
of 50. 2 already have been highlighted. So 25.
25. Okay. Any more?
5 and 10 is not available anymore.
Correct. And let's try one more, yeah? So group, yellow group will tell us the number, and red group will tell us the factor. Okay, yellow group, whomever is group 1. So January to June birthday. One last one to choose.
One, Miss.
Sure, Miss Adeline. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have to choose the number.
Now you choose the number.
Okay. I will be choose number 36.
Sure. 36, yeah, Miss?
Yeah.
Okay. And this will be the last. So second group, group 2. Anybody who would like to give this a try? What are some factors of 36 that you see? Miss Henny, raise hand.
Yes, silakan Miss Henny. You can unmute yourself first, Miss Henny.
Okay, yes, Miss.
Okay.
Hello, Miss. Yeah, go ahead, Miss.
I need to see the picture first on the screen.
Sure.
I cannot see it. The factor of 36.
Yes.
9.
Okay. So hang on. Are you group 1 or group 2, yeah? It's group 2, yeah?
Yes, it's supposed to be group 2.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what else, Miss?
9, 6.
Yes.
12. 36, right? 12. 18.
Yeah. 18.
18, and I think that's all.
And that's all, yeah. So let
One
me
more.
list that.
Yeah. 3.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Miss.
3, okay, 3, yes.
Oh, somebody found that. Miss Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you.
What happened kalau pas main kelewat ya? So misalnya itu group 2, terus dia nggak ada yang jawab. Ya udah, that's to the benefit of the opponent, betul nggak? Jadi that's why this is also good to have group, the one that you just did just now, because sometimes when 1 or 2 people did not really list down everything, then someone else can help them as well. So basically that's the game. Are you curious to know who wins? Do you know already? Have you calculated already who wins? So group 1 gets 20 and 25 and 36. So let's see our math skills. Siapa yang bisa hitungnya cepat ya? 45 tambah 36. 81 ya. And then group 2 is the first row, this add to 22 and then 50. So this is 72 already. So I think it's quite clear that group 2 wins, yeah. It's larger than 81. Okay, so congratulations, group 2. And thank you so much also group 1 for playing with us. So something like that you can also use ya Bapak Ibu ya. The point is not about winning or losing, obviously. But the main point is just about how do you check your student understanding in the context of online learning. So apparently games like that are still possible. You can modify it. If 50 numbers are way too many for your students, maybe you can reduce to 30 or even 20. Okay. One last one here to try will be quizzes. Tadi sudah banyak juga ya yang mencoba quizzes. Now maybe we can try this one. If you wish to use your phone instead for this one, feel free to just use your phone. And let me share the quizzes page with you. This is about fraction. And we will try to do this one together. Let me check playlist. And I will continue. So you may use any device to join in the quiz. So what you need to do is you can use your browser and type joinmyquiz.com, and you may enter the game code as you see on the screen. And I'll just wait for a bit for people to start joining in, and we will play. Nah, sepertinya ada one person yang sudah berhasil. Miss Gita ya ini kayaknya. Miss Henny also in already. Miss Gloria, Miss Fitri. I'll wait for about 1 minute. So if by that time you were not able to join us yet, you can still follow by looking at the screen. And kind of just pick your answer manually on a piece of paper, yeah? Okay, let me get started. I don't spend too much time on the standing, and it depends juga on your class, on the readiness level. But something that I would like to just highlight here, and because we have a lot of you, it probably is taking some time, but normally in a class you will be able to see everything in one screen like this. And I guess as a teacher, if you see a particular questions where you see a lot of red, on that, then those are the questions that you would like to come back into. So like here, the questions that are in other color than green, that will give you a clue. Maybe some students are confused. Maybe it's our error. Like one time I was actually doing this quizzes with a different topic, and apparently it's not because the participant did not know the answer, but because the formatting of the number was a little different. So you want to test out the quiz like this. Sometimes I call it dummy it before you actually run it with your students. So you pick 2 or 3 friends, yeah, teacher friends, and then try it out so you can troubleshoot beforehand. But I set it up everything pretty much as multiple choice to make it easier for the students to just choose the correct answer. Because you've already played quizzes a lot, I don't think I have to go through the technicalities anymore, but it's just, it's nice in quizzes that they will give you opportunity to come back to the questions that you did not get right the first time, so you can redeem yourself and try again. Yeah. Okay, we're almost coming to the end. So now this is the practice part in the lesson. This is also guided practice, yeah. And for this one, I would like to show you, so in multiplication and division. So let me first actually show you what the multiplication look like. Sometimes you probably wonder if you are teaching at this level already about division and multiplication, how can you guide your students to practice multiplication and division? And let me just show you the multiplication first. And then after that, I will share with you one tool that you can use to also practice division. So here for the multiplication, as you can see, teachers, this is something I've done already, so the notes are somewhat complete. So let's say if you would like to teach the procedure of multiplying 2 numbers, yeah, one is 3-digit, the other one is 1-digit number. How do you use Microsoft Word? Actually, let me tell you, how do I get the inspiration to do this? It's because as a math teacher, you cannot not write, right? You tend to write a lot. So sometimes when you come across multiplication like this, it could be a little bit challenging. You can use whiteboard, but sometimes the handwriting is probably not that satisfying enough for you. So you can create something like this. I just use table. So to create this grid, I can do insert table, and then you can create how many rows, how many columns. So it will look like this. And then you can type on each of the cell. So in this case, I am typing 156 times 4. And then this is the multiplication button. And basically, we will do similar process of what you would normally do on a whiteboard in a classroom. So we start by multiplying 6 ones by 4. So that's going to be 24 ones. And then you regroup. 24 ones equals 2 tens and 4 ones. So you write the 2 here and keep the 4 at the ones place. If you want to see how this is being done live, let me just show it to you here. So suppose you have 1,143 by 2. Then you can have 3 ones times 2, that's 6 ones. And then moving on to the next place value, so 4 tens times 2, that's 8 tens. Place the 8. So it's simple enough, I thought, right? You can talk while multiplying these digits, and then 100 times 2 is 200. So you place 2 in the hundreds place, and finally 1,000 times 2 is also 2,000. And then you can invite your students to recall the steps and then type it. What I ended up doing when I was showing, because remember this is guided practice, right? When I was showing this to the students, as I was multiplying each of the digit, I created this note for them. So it does take a little bit more time to create notes like this. You should probably plan for like a good 5 to 10 minutes to go through examples and guide your students through. But this is worth it because this is procedure to multiply is one of the skills in primary mathematics that you do not want your student to miss, right? So you would like to go through the step. And this is one tool that you can possibly use, just using Microsoft Word and set it up this way. Let me show you one more, and this one is division. I'm going to use my phone to show you this. I'm using an app. So let me just demonstrate it briefly with you so you get an idea how to use your phone even. So here I am using this long division app. Later on, you will be able to see this on the screen and in the PDF. So don't worry if you don't know the name of this app just yet. There's a free version, but if you wish to subscribe, so it means if you pay, you will get more features, of course. Even if you pay, this is less than 40,000 rupiah, yeah? So it's affordable. So if you pick training, for example, and you can use, here, let me just put 3-digit number, yeah, Bapak Ibu, yeah? So let's say 155 divided by 5. Press go, and we can do this, you can do this as a guided practice. It even has some prompts at the top of the screen. It says how many times does 5 go into 15? Okay, 5 goes 0 time. So you move to the next digit. Sometimes you can also use this multiplication table feature. So 1 times 5, you may invite your student to recall. 2 times 5 is 10, so you can put it like this. 3 times 5 is 15, so you can put it like this, etc. And then here you will have 3, so 5 times 3 is 15. And 15, take away 15 is 0, another 0. Bring down the next digit of 5. And how many times does 5 go to 5? It's 1. So 1 times 5 is 5. 5 subtracted by 5 is 0. Okay, so something like this. Sometimes I go through and search for an app. It always depends on the need, yeah? So again, it's back on the lesson goal and your need. Because I know that long division also like a lot of procedure, a lot of steps. So having an app like this to show the student can also be an alternate way. If you would prefer handwriting, of course, that's also acceptable. It's just there's a different way, alternate ways, and that's what I would like to expose you to. So hopefully you can also consider that for next time. Okay, so that's for the guided practice. Yeah, so there's many ways, choices and options. Sometimes you use apps, sometimes you use Microsoft Word. I've done that already. And here's just another one. This is basically a worksheet in a PDF form. And you can overwrite on the PDF. So for instance, if you have this, sometimes in some resources, again, I'm using the MC-EDU Hub here, you can overwrite on the document. So here, 611 plus 511, that's going to be, common denominator is 11, and 6 plus 5 is 11. 11 over 11 is just 1, something like that. So you can write on the screen as you were doing this activity. Like for instance here, number 3, denominator is different, so what do? So you can make it a little bit more interactive. And as you are doing things, you also keep talking to engage your students with what you are doing. Okay. All right. And then the last part is just some tips. Okay, so we're almost approaching the end of this whole training. I will just share a couple more tips and tricks for you. Tip number 1, you may annotate during lessons. So get used to how to use stamp, how to draw on your screen, how to type notes on your screen, because that will help to increase the engagement level of your student and also increase your interactivity with them as you teach your lesson. There are some options you can use for whiteboard, as I have demonstrated. I think in this particular training, you've been a wonderful participant, and you've been using chat, reaction, and raise hand. You may do the same thing with your students. You may also use breakout rooms for small group discussion. It's available on Zoom. Second camera for real-time demonstration. I will just use some images later on to show you how to get that set up. So let me show you just the examples of what this looks like in the classroom. So here, I am providing a PowerPoint to my students. Let's think of 42. Which of these divide 42 exactly? As they give me answer, yes or no, I put the stamp, kind of like the same like what I did with you. Here's for second camera. So if you wish to do a real-time demonstration, here are a couple of examples. Sometimes if you have the actual tool of document camera, or document reader, you can use that. But many times we probably do not have that available yet in our school. So what are some of the ideas to use, some of the tools that we can use as a substitute for that? You can have, the one that I have right here is actually a camera tripod. It's for a selfie stick actually, but it has the tripod, and you can plug in your phone here on the section at the top. So it can produce the image kind of like what you see here. In this lesson, I was trying to show something about factors with the squares. So how do you create arrangement of squares? And I proceeded and explained about factor from there. This one is a little bit more official. And thankfully, we in Mentari have a wonderful team to set this up. We have this webcam. The idea is the same. The white paper is used as the whiteboard. And you can do a lot of demonstration for a lesson on fraction here under the camera. So the idea is, how do you use the camera that you already have from your phone, maybe, in order to project something real, something concrete, your action during a lesson. So you can certainly consider using some of these options. Finally, in order to keep your class interesting, I would like to just share some ideas that kind of like, yeah, spice up your class a little bit, right? Something different. I think routine is definitely valuable, especially for primary students, young students. They need routine. You cannot not set up routine, right? But sometimes doing things out of routine can be refreshing, can be fun. So let me show you. The first one here is what I call a hat day. And I think a lot of teachers have also tried this out. Basically, what I ask the students to do is, hey, for the next session, let's all show up with our favorite hat, okay? So everybody, including myself, as you can see, wearing a hat to the session. And they found it fun. We took photo as a class and things like that. And a couple more example here is just something funny. I personally like pun and math jokes. So I love to just put something like this cartoon right here, talking about measurement. When the giraffe say, hey, come down here, it's only as deep as my neck. And then the rest of the animals say, well, yeah, your neck is long. So talking about the importance of standard unit of measurement. This is more secondary, probably, yeah, with the algebra component here. Find x. Instead of finding the value of x, the student just say, oh, here it is, and then dilingkarin, ya. Ini nih x-nya, padahal bukan itu. And lastly, di sini, the following sign appeared on an app. Oh, sorry, it was delicious. Jadi ini adalah satu kalimat sebenarnya yang tersembunyi dalam simbol-simbol matematika. Ada yang mau coba? This would be the last question I'm asking you. Does anybody know what this sentence means? So this one is one thing. This one is another thing, so another word. The third one is another word. The last one is another word. It will be a sentence, a hidden sentence. Ada yang mau coba?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I ate some pie.
Yes, thank you Pak Hendri.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's so good ya. Jadi ini adalah bilangan imajiner I. So I, 2 cube is 8. So I ate. This is the symbol for sum, and the last one is pie. I ate some pie, and it was delicious. Yeah, cartoons and puns like this are there's abundance of it anywhere online, and you can just look for that if you find it interesting. So that will be my last slide to share with all of you. So let me stop sharing there. And it's 4:03 already. It's fun to meet all of you, and I'll give it back to Mbak Ocha, ya, as the moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Linda. So before we end this session, is there any participant who would like to ask again to Miss Linda? Kita tadi sudah mendengarkan ya, dan juga ikut beberapa aktivitas yang tentunya interaktif sekali ya. Tadi udah ada banyak demo juga dari berbagai materi matematika. That's very fun, Miss Linda.
Thank you, Mbak Ocha.
Iya, silakan. Apabila ada yang ingin bertanya, boleh. Silakan kita beri kesempatan untuk Bapak Ibu yang ingin bertanya. Bisa gunakan raise hand atau ingin unmute sendiri, silakan. Okay, there we have a question from Miss Hannah, Miss Linda. What, from your perspective, what is the useful apps for math?
Yeah, the one that I was using earlier is the long division app by, I think, by Epsilon. And then the resources that I am using quite a bit also. And in Mentari, I think in general, we have this one. And let me share that through chat, the MC-EDU Hub. It's a platform, so it has a lot of not just worksheet, but also video, teaching scheme, and things like that. I know some teachers, they are using this app also called BrainPop. So you can take a look at that as well. It has also some manipulatives and some activities that you can do with the students. Now these days, because there's increasing demand of online tools, sometimes what used to be all free, sometimes now you have to kind of invest a little bit in it. So just decide on it as a school, as a team of teachers, if you wish to purchase some of these online tools, because that will be a good investment to support your teaching.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Linda.
Yes,
and
you're
is
welcome.
there any other participant who would like to ask? Well, I think that's because your presentation was very clear and very fun, Miss Linda. So that's why there is no more question from the participants.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I need to end the Q&A session, Miss Linda. Thank you very much for your wonderful and informative session about interactive distance learning for primary mathematics. And the session gives a very useful information for us, as we can see that this new normal situation forces us to quickly adapt in how we deliver the lessons to our students. And in this special situation, we need to make sure students get the learning effectively. And from Miss Linda's sharing, there are so many things you can learn in developing distance learning into something interactive and fun. And hopefully we can also apply the strategies so we can deliver the best teaching to students in the situation. So thank you very much, Miss Linda. And no worries, if you still have any question for Miss Linda, you can also deliver your question or idea to the written email and WhatsApp number on the screen. Silakan Bapak Ibu apabila masih ada pertanyaan ataupun ingin menyampaikan pendapat, silakan bisa menuliskan email ke email tertera ataupun WhatsApp number yang sudah ada di layar ya.